Welcome to All Round English. Hello there. My name is Anandhan Raju. I'm your online English tutor. My object in producing this video is to help students with their English lessons. I hope teachers of English would also greatly benefit from this video. In this video, direct and indirect speech receives a comprehensive treatment. Well, let's look at these words. A said, I am leaving. If B wanted to report what A said, B may do so in one of the two ways. Either B may report A's words as said in the very words of A, thus, A said, I am leaving. Or B may, with adjustment of the necessary person and time, report thus, A said, he was leaving. A person's words reported as spoken in the very words of the person is called direct speech. They are shown inside inverted commas. A person's words reported with adjustment of the necessary person and time is called indirect speech. It is also known as reported speech. Well, let's look at how statements may be reported with modification of the necessary person and time. Well, a statement expressing a general truth is reported without modification of the necessary person and tense. The sentence, Julia said, the sun rises in the east becomes, Julia said that the sun rises in the east in the reported speech. But other statements are reported with changes of person and tense. For example, Jim said, I want to go becomes, Jim said that he wanted to go. Tim said, I shall come later becomes, Tim said that he would come later. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the present tense, it is changed into the past tense when reported. Now, for example, Bob said, I teach at the village school becomes, Bob said that he taught at the village school. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the present continuous tense, it is changed into the past continuous tense when reported. Now, for example, Sylvia said, I am reading a novel by Dickens now becomes, Sylvia said that she was reading a novel by Dickens then. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the present perfect tense, it is changed into the past perfect tense when reported. Now, for example, Olivia said, I have written 3 letters today becomes, Olivia said that she had written 3 letters that day. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the present perfect continuous tense, it is changed into the past perfect continuous tense when reported. Now, for example, he said, I have been living in Rockland since 2002 becomes, he said that he had been living in Rockland since 2002. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the past tense, it is changed into the past perfect tense when reported. Now, for example, Rob said, I bought this pen yesterday becomes, Rob said that he had bought that pen the day before. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the past continuous tense, it is changed into the past perfect continuous tense when reported. For example, Jack said, I was playing cricket then becomes, Jack said that he had been playing cricket then. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the past perfect tense, it is reported without change of tense. For example, John said, my brother had eaten 3 eggs before I ate 1 becomes, John said that his brother had eaten 3 eggs before he ate 1. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the past perfect continuous tense, it is reported without change of tense. For example, Dick said, I had been tutoring before I got a job as a teacher becomes, Dick said that he had been tutoring before he got a job as a teacher. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the future tense, it is reported using would. For example, Jill said, I shall or will write to ask Jack to dinner. Becomes, Jill said that she would write to ask Jack to dinner. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the future continuous tense, it is reported using would. For example, he said, I shall or will be leaving soon. Becomes, he said that he would be leaving soon. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the future perfect tense, it is reported using would. For example, they said, we shall or will have finished this work by 4 o'clock. Becomes, they said that they would have finished that work by 4 o'clock. Well, if the verb of the speech quoted is in the future perfect continuous tense, it is reported using would. For example, he said, I shall or will have been studying for 5 years by then. Becomes, he said that he would have been studying for 5 years by then. Well, let's look at how questions may be reported with modification of the necessary person and time. Well, let's look at questions that demand yes or no as an answer. For example, he said to me, are you going to the main post office? Becomes, he asked me if or whether I was going to the main post office. She said to him, have you finished your work? Becomes, she asked him if or whether he had finished his work. Sam said to Tom, do you play football? Becomes, Sam asked Tom if or whether he played football. Violet said to Rose, can you tell me where the library is? Becomes, Violet asked Rose if or whether she could tell her where the library was. He said to me, will you help me? Becomes, he asked me if or whether I would help him. He said to her, must you leave so soon? Becomes, he asked her if or whether she must leave so soon. Well, let's look at questions that begin with the letters WH or the letter H. For example, Brown said to him, what is your name? Becomes, Brown asked him what his name was. I said to him, when is your birthday? Becomes, I asked him when his birthday was. He said to me, where do you live? Becomes, he asked me where I lived. He said to her, which one of these is yours? Becomes, he asked her which one of those was hers. Rob said to Bob, how old are you? Becomes, Rob asked Bob how old he was. Well, let's look at how commands may be reported with modification of the necessary person and time. The captain said to his men, fire a salute. Becomes, the captain ordered his men to fire a salute. He said to me, be here at 9 o'clock. Becomes, he told me to be there at 9 o'clock. She said to him, don't do this. Becomes, she told him not to do that. Well, let's look at how requests may be reported with modification of the necessary person and time. Now, Bill said to Jim, help me with this luggage, please. Becomes, Bill requested Jim to help him with that luggage. Jill said to Jack, please be back early this evening. Becomes, Jill requested Jack to be back early that evening. Well, let's look at how exclamations may be reported with modification of the necessary person and time. She said, how beautiful the sunset is. Becomes, she exclaimed that the sunset was very beautiful. He said, what an idiot I am. Becomes, he exclaimed that he was such an idiot. I hope you got a thorough understanding of how a person's actual words may be reported with changes of person and tense. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe to this channel for information about new videos and leave your comments if you would like to. A descriptive grammar and a transformational grammar written by me are published as ebooks on Amazon Kindle. The links are given below for you to read them online if you wish to. Keep watching. Goodbye.